let's take a look at the quarterback core coming back in 2018 in Texas high school football. And if you think about it, like, okay, who's the best quarterback in the state last year? I mean, it's a tough conversation, but we named Mr. Texas football as Spencer Sanders from Denton Ryan.
Right.
Well, he graduated.
Yeah.
Okay, who was also in the mix? Tanner Mordecai from Hewitt Midway.
He's gone.
He's gone.
Yeah.
What about go maybe a little off the beaten path outside of Metroplex areas? What about Quay Gray at Lubbock Coronado?
Right.
Well,
he's gone.
What if you're into kind of the underdog story? What about John Stephen Jones at Highland Park?
Right.
Okay,
he's gone.
What about Cason Martin at Manville?
He's gone.
What about Julian Williams at Converse Judson?
He's gone.
Okay.
Brian Hamilton in Albany.
Yeah.
He's gone.
He's gone. Everyone's gone.
Except, well, there's a couple big ones. And this is one thing I wanted to, I know this list, obviously. I've looked at it already. There are a couple big names that I think people already know that aren't on this list. Correct. I look at this list and I say, these are 5 guys that are really good that you're going to know a lot more about this year, but maybe you didn't hear about last year.
And that's one thing I wanted to do, is that I wanted to highlight 5 guys that whose name you need to know because you probably don't know it yet.
Right. Not on this list, Roshan Johnson.
Yes.
You know him.
You know Roshan Johnson.
Not on this list, Maverick McIver.
Yes.
You know him.
You know him.
He's good. Yeah.
There are guys that you know.
Right.
And so me going through and just telling you, hey, you need to know about this super awesome quarterback you already know about.
Right.
What point is there in that?
Right.
We're here for quality content, people.
Yeah.
So
even Hudson Card. You know him.
You know him.
Yeah.
Yeah, even, there are guys that if I were to name them, you'd just be like, okay, yeah. Check.
Obviously, he's good. We're aware.
Check.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's where I want to start with this. But here are 5 quarterbacks whose names you may not know that I think you need to. Let's start with LaRavian Elia, okay? The quarterback at Beaumont Westbrook. Go down to the Golden Triangle area.
Yep.
This was an honorable mention All-State kid who put up big-time numbers.
Yep.
A dual-threat type guy who is going to be, I would say right now, has to start the year as he's probably the best quarterback there in the Golden Triangle.
Yeah. He was in consideration for Mr. Texas Football Player of the Week, I think 4 times last season, which says a lot about the numbers he puts up.
The game that really kind of jumped out to me was when they won a crazy shootout against Lufkin.
Mm-hmm.
And Lufkin, a high-powered offense, and he just went toe-to-toe with them.
Yep.
557 yards and 7 touchdowns, including the game-winning touchdown run with like 37 seconds left. LaRavian Elia is a kid who I think is going to blow up, and another guy who I think because of the part of the state that he plays in, maybe you don't pay a ton of attention to. But LaRavian Elia, and look, also they didn't make I think they got bounced the first round of the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
This is a team that didn't have the kind of success they were hoping for. And so I think another year with LaRavian Elia could make him into a household name in Texas. LaRavian Elia from Beaumont Westbrook is a name to know. Another one, I think a victim of being an awesome quarterback in an area with a bunch of awesome quarterbacks.
Right.
Ryan Depper from Lake Dallas.
Yep.
This guy put up big-time numbers, 2,300, almost 2,400 yards passing, 22 touchdowns, completed nearly 70% of his passes. Ran for another 17 touchdowns on the ground, 514 yards in that span. This is a kid who, again, in that kind of Denton County area,
right?
He's getting overshadowed. He's getting overshadowed by Spencer Sanders at Ryan.
Yep.
He's getting overshadowed by Geyer. He's getting overshadowed by Argyle. Okay,
Yep.
He's getting overshadowed by these areas.
Yeah.
But there at Lake Dallas for the Falcons, he put up big time numbers.
Yeah.
And he's coming back. And so now that's kind of the guys that I want to focus on are guys who were maybe a little bit overshadowed for one reason or another that now could have an opportunity to have breakout years. Okay? Here's a perfect example of a guy who was overshadowed on his own team.
Yeah.
Okay? It's Gunnar Capps from Carthage. And this is probably the biggest name on this list.
Right. I'm like, come on, Greg. Everyone knows who Gunnar Capps is.
Gunnar Capps was the championship game MVP in the 4A Division I state title game. But he was... Boy, he might have been the guy you mentioned third on that Carthage team.
Yeah.
Like, you definitely mentioned Keontae Ingram, the running back.
Right.
You might mention, like, Michael Gates.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's any other number of guys, but the numbers he put up, nearly 4,000 yards passing, 49 touchdowns against just 7 interceptions, that now that Keontae Ingram is gone, I think he's a guy who's going to rise to the level of, hey, remember him? He puts up crazy numbers, and he's the most important, most valuable player on a really good team in East Texas. So Gunnar Couch from Carthage is a name you need to familiarize yourself with. The 3A level, Luke Latimer from Childress. I like this pick. Luke Latimer from Childress. This is a team that played 14 games, 12-2 team, I believe, from a couple of years ago or from last year. And this kid is in the land of 3A and 2A, where there are so many quarterbacks who are putting up gaudy numbers. Here's a guy who is just kind of one of those guys.
Right.
You know, it's like he put up a bunch of numbers, and he was super impressive. This is a guy who is nearly a 3,000, 1,000 guy. Basically 2,900 yards, 29 touchdowns passing.
Not bad.
More than 1,000. He's over 1,100 yards rushing and 17 touchdowns. For a Childress team that, by the way, is loaded for Bear coming back.
Yeah.
And so Luke Latimer is another name that I think, you know, especially up there in that part of the state, kind of the northwest part of the state, there's a lot of these guys, right? You know, you mentioned Brian Hamilton from Albany, and there's a lot of these guys who put up crazy numbers in the small school ranks. Well, here's a guy that probably isn't getting the love that he deserves. Mm-hmm. And Luke Latimer from Childress, a name to know. And finally, down to 2A level. Through no fault of his own, Caleb Harmon is maybe the most anonymous superstar at the 2A level. Through no fault of his own. Now, look, part of that is that he is on the same team as DeMondrick Winters. Yeah. Okay? And DeMondrick Winters is a monster. Okay? He's really good. He's a superstar prospect and stuff like that. But go back and look at the numbers that Caleb Harmon put up. Okay? Caleb Harmon scored 75 touchdowns last year.
Is that all?
75 touchdowns.
That's a lot of touchdowns, people.
He threw for 39. He ran for 34. And he had 2 fumble recovery touchdowns. Yeah. Okay? He was a 2,600-yard passer and a 2,000-yard rusher. I understand, and again, I don't want to crap on DeMondrick Winters because he's an incredible player too. But Caleb Harmon is a perfect example of a kid who doesn't get that credit because of a guy who's on his own team.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. They're both back.
Yeah.
You want to know why? Look, spoiler alert, Burton's going to start the year ranked in our magazine. Yeah. Okay? You want to know why? It's because of guys like that. And yeah, having DeMondrick Winters is awesome. But having DeMondrick Winters and Caleb Harmon, that's something that's dangerous. So those are 5 guys that I think you need to know that I think are going to be household names starting in 2018 that for one reason or another maybe got a little bit overshadowed in 2017.
I like those picks.
Keep an eye on those guys.